Welcome everyone to the Flow Show. We got episode 196 here. First, a quick message from ClubGG where you can create poker clubs for free, play with your friends, and win hundreds of thousands of dollars in prizes monthly. And with that being said, one of my favorite hobbies. This is the king of the hobby. He does have the hit show on Netflix, which is something I'm going to let him tell us about. We're going to go into that, but that is the king of collectibles, the Golden Touch. We have Ken Goldin here. Ken, how are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be with you, Jeff.
You as well. I know actually we were scheduling last year at some point, and then you kind of just got, all the show going, and it was just crazy schedule and a lot going on. So, first of all, again, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. And if you could maybe just give I don't know, you got a lot to talk about. We could maybe give like a deep history of your background in TV and shows and kind of just where you all got started.
I'll give a very brief. I'll give a brief history.
Yeah.
So I am the founder and CEO of Goldin, which was previously known as Goldin Auctions, which I started in 2012. I am the subject of the Netflix show King of Collectibles, The Golden Touch, which we just season 1 launched on April 28th of last year, and season 2 has now been filmed and is now in Netflix's hands, so they can dub it into 42 languages and subtitle it. Peyton Manning is one of my executive producers, as is Connor Schell, who created all of ESPN's 30 for 30 and, of course, The Last Dance. And, of course, I cannot leave out Brent Montgomery of Wheelhouse, who is the creator of Pawn Stars. So those are my 3 EPs, and really it was Connor Schell who came to me with the idea for the show. Prior to that, honestly, I've been in the business since I was 12 years old. Started buying and selling at the age of 12. My first transaction probably at 13 for $500, cash transaction. Traded before that. I founded Scoreboard when I was 20. I created the Classic Cards trading brand. So for those of you who ever used to collect trading cards, and the 92 Shaq, all those different Shaq cards, and 96 autographed Kobe's, and Finish Line Racing and Pro Line brands with the players' wives' signatures, and then like Ali's signature, all that stuff was me. And,
very cool.
And then Goldin has been the biggest thing I've done, and it's what I'll do for the rest of my life.
I love it. I mean, it's got to be so fun, something you love and you're passionate about, to see it kind of morph and come into this. And then, of course, the show, which is awesome. Really well done. What is, when you talk about movie stars or TV stars, and there's a lot of like cuts and filming, I was curious about this because, it's something you love. And honestly, even between takes, I would imagine it's got to be still fun because you're talking, it's stuff you like, it's things going on. But is it like a little bit tedious to sometimes have to like do takes, or is it just like, or do you just love the whole process of the show, of filming it?
So I tell people that my job at Goldin is fun, and that when I'm filming for Netflix, it's a real job and it's work. I have to, you got call, you have to be on the set at a certain time. You have to show up at a certain time. Even if I got 20 phone calls, even if my kids are getting ready for school or something else is going on, you have to show up at a certain time because you've got 25 people that are getting paid by the company waiting for you, right? The good news is that we really are a reality show. And let me put that in perspective. Every single thing you see in the show in terms of a transaction is a transaction that actually happened at Goldin. Every sale is a sale that we sold. Every auction is an auction that took place. Every consigner is a consigner, so on and so forth. So that, with that, they let us free flow a lot. For example, in that Puerto Rico scene with Jim Taubenfeld, which is over 2 episodes, Jim and I went at it for like an hour and a half without stop. And it was crazy because we had like a prearranged deal. And if you haven't seen the show, it's a very, very humongous. It's a humongous collection. I think it's like episode 4 and 5. It's like a carryover. And he's got like the craziest stuff you've ever gonna see. Like Jordan's first jersey and Kobe's debut jersey and Will Chamberlain's Harlem Globetrotters jersey and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So we're negotiating back and forth, and I threw out a very, very large number as a cash advance, and he said no, but I knew he was going to say no. And then I threw out even a larger number, and I knew the deal was done. But he took it upon himself. He said, something? Ken's down here with the film crew, and I know he took a private plane down here. He's got a lot of expenses in this, and everybody's filming this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to accept what I agreed to accept before. He threw out a higher number live where we're being filmed, and you see like a look of shock, and that's a real look of shock. Like, I cannot believe you just did this. Wow. So we ended up compromising on air at a higher number than I expected to go. So, but they bottom line with me is they typically let me go. They let me, they never tell you, okay, this is what you do, because the show is about me. It's about my business. It's about my company. It's about the people who work for me. So the people who have done a negotiation with me, people who have cut deals, can watch the show and say, yeah, that's like Ken. Like, all the stuff I would say and the way I would act, my mannerisms, all the creativity, that's like what I would do in 99% of my deals that are not filmed. The only thing they do is they say, okay, this sentence didn't come out. You got to redo that because we didn't hear it, or the camera is muffled, or, oh, that's great. Now we've got to get another angle. Okay, great. Now we got to do the walk-in scene again because they got this guy from the front. They didn't get the guy from the back. And then sometimes, and obviously the difficult part is working with, the different consigners. So some of the guys that are just hobby guys, or, like grandkids that found something, they've never been on TV. This is, crazy to them, right? So there may be multiple things where, okay, fine, can you speak a little louder? Can you, mention this? Things like that, because they, they may be a little camera struck.
Makes perfect sense. And in this show, it seems so pure, right? It just seems like, because the big time names in the hobby, and you see Peyton Manning on here and Mike Tyson, all these, the Logan Paul or Jake Paul, these guys, like, you're doing big things, and it's all stuff so unique, so interesting in different places. It feels like this show could go forever, right? It just seems like it's an unlimited thing. It's a hobby. It connects to so many people. Did you when you first did the show to now, does it feel that way? Do you feel like, wow, this is like going to be a long-term thing, like the next 20, 30 years?
Well, this is what they pitched me originally. Netflix was looking, because Brent obviously did Pawn Stars. What have they run? 27 years. Yeah. So, and what Brent, we did sales calls. It was me, Brent Montgomery, Connor Shell. Peyton was not on the Zooms, but he did the introduction to the teaser. So he did like a 5-minute video that we played it. So it was with Disney, which was going to be ABC, ESPN, and Hulu. It was with Discovery. It was with Disney, Hulu, Discovery, and it was Netflix, and it was one other group that escaped me, but they weren't as high level. So I kind of said, like, that's like, like your fallback. You pick colleges and you one school you're going to get into. It was like that. So I always said Netflix has the biggest audience, but so we pitched it to them, and with Netflix, what they really wanted is they wanted their version of an upscale, more drama, longer, higher stakes Pawn Stars that they can run as an unscripted show for the next 10, 15 years. So that was their idea. So they signed me, and they signed everybody that's in the show. I have said the number of years on, but then I'm told you're not allowed to divulge secrets of your contract. So I will tell you, they signed for multiple years, many more than season 2, season 1, 2, 3, 4, so on.
That's exciting.
So their intent, but if you look at it, this is what's really amazing about our business. We have about 5,000 items a week that go through our building in Goldin. 5,000 items. Pawn Stars, they told me that they had to go out and search for items that fit the show. We've got 250,000 items a year. So how difficult is it to find 50 items, 60 items, 75 items that we think will make cool TV stories? So for us, I think it's unlimited, and the guys love it. I mean, like, that's right.
It feels that way. It does. It just seems like, because, and as I would imagine, people are reaching out too, right? It's like one thing where at some point it's like, thinking, oh, I'll get Peyton or do this or friends with these guys. But then you have people that have cool stuff that love the show, or like, then you get sort of like a list of things of like, you can't even do it all, the stuff you want to do, which I would imagine it's sort of like that, where you just have like unlimited opportunity.
It is. And so I'll hit 2 celebrities, because no offense to Peyton and anybody else that was on season 1, the 2 funnest times I personally had were because they were just, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening type of stuff. And that was Mike Tyson and Logan Paul. Okay. So Mike Tyson came in and he wanted to consign a few things that he kept from his career. And then we had an agreement to consign, and he saw some, I'm not going to say what, but he saw something just like I've got a display here with like this. We'll get into that. A whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. He saw something in my office and he said, I want to get that. And I'm like, no, I was given that personally by the guy who was in my office, and he handed it. Yeah. You want this? I got to get it. He goes, how about we fight for it? And then we decide something else. And that was like, he was just so funny. And the second one was Logan Paul. So I brought my son down named Paul. There are so many hysterical outtakes of Logan Paul scene. Like he goes, Paul, like pointing to himself, pointing to my son, back and forth. I got a kick at him. My name's Logan Paul. I can name my son Paul. Yeah. And then the big hook about that scene, and that's episode 6. And episode 6 is my favorite episode in the series, because not only that scene, but of course the Dream Team collection, is we opened up this box on live stream. It was a live stream. This was all planned. I sold the packs on Goldin. We're going to go down. That was it. We hit. Is this G rated? Is this PG rated? What is? What
you can fire. Go for
it. So we hit shit. Okay, we hit absolutely donuts. 0. Okay. Right. So I mean, he's like really, really, really bummed out because, and I say, again, this is literally, I say it's live TV because it's live the way we're filming. It's not, it's recorded. And obviously if he didn't say yes, we never would have shown this. But I just said, you know something, you've got 3 boxes at home. Why don't you go grab one of those boxes? And he looked at me because this was like not in his outline. And I said, well, he goes, what do you mean? I said, I'll split it with you. It's like 165,000, 337,000. I said, it's like 167,500. This is on a Sunday. And I said, I will be back. I will wire you $167,000 tomorrow. You and I split the box, just you and I, no cameras. We don't do it on Instagram Live. We don't do it on YouTube, blah, 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 blah. And he said, screw it, which is not exactly what he said. Let's go do it. And he ran back to his house and he got this box. And we opened up another box with no social media, no nothing. And nobody knew we did it until the episode came out, and then they'll see what we got. So yeah, that's great. But that was like, it was like, basically it took like an 8-minute segment into like a 16-minute segment, because he's a gambler and I can gamble, and I can
speak. That's a good segue for gambling. I know. So poker, right? This is, not a poker podcast. We have a lot of poker ties with people that play a bit. And I know that you did play. Jason Kuntz, very good friend of mine, mutual friend. He had a big score as well. And he had mentioned you played, and I knew a little bit you did, but you used to play back in the day, actually a lot. Can you tell me about your poker experience? And
sure. So I was a very well-known, played a lot online player back probably from 2003. My biggest online playing was like 2003 to 2007, I'm going to guess. I slowed down in 2006. I played under Poker Stars under the moniker I Suck 123. And I played on other sites under I Bite 123. I played on Poker Stars, Party Poker, Paradise Poker, Full Tilt. Interesting. My biggest online win was, I think, about $100,000 at I can't remember the name. It was like a sister site to Party Poker. It was a $500 rebuy. So
Empire, maybe.
Empire, yes, Empire, yes, yep. Empire. So I won one of the $500 rebuys there. But I used to play with all the guys that went on to be mainline, poker players. Obviously, Cliff Josephine, Johnny Bax, Cheats, yep. Eric Haber, Guy Burrow, Ape Styles. Ruthless. I mean, all who later in my older days, Houdini. And I used to win. I used to play a lot of qualifiers, so I would get like I go to Aruba every year, Bahamas every year, multiple entries to the World Series of Poker, which if you won more than one. So I was in the main event of the World Series every year from 2004 to 2011. And then in 2012, I couldn't go because I launched Goldin and we had our national convention in 2013. My wife gave birth to Paul right around that time, and that was the end of my poker playing. And but I did, I played live. I played live at only because I had money from prior ventures. I wasn't a small player. I played the main events, like $5,000 buy-ins and up. Coolest time was when I won an entry into Monte Carlo, the $25,000 one back in the day. That was the nicest place I ever played poker.
Very cool spot. And you play. Is it something? I mean, now you're so like the national. Actually, something you mentioned. Want to talk about? I know that's in the summertime and something that's amazing. I've gone to. Do you? Is that something? Is it possible, or just because the main event it takes so many days and your kind of schedule so crazy? Could we? Because I'm with GG. I'm an ambassador for GG. They're partnering with WSOP. They move venues actually from the Rio now. It's really nice and
I still watch it.
Could you come and play the main or a side event? Would you come out? Could we do something with you there for poker? Maybe set up, we could figure something out where you could maybe like market a bit and have some fun where it's not just to play. Do you think we could do something?
Yeah. The last time I think the last time I played a live event was probably Borgata in 2019. So I do try and play, but it seems every time I go somewhere to play poker, my wife has an emergency. I can be at the table at like 1 a.m. and I'm getting text, Carly's throwing up, blah, blah, blah. The dog is sick or Paul's this, or I hear noises in the house, or like every friggin' time.
That's a good sign. That just means your wife really loves you and misses you. Though. She doesn't want you gone. Yeah.
And with some of the other events, it's like, oh my God. I look at it too financially, like, unless I actually finish first or second this tournament, I lost money no matter what I do.
There's not being away from cost. But that's what I'm saying. Like to make it where there's probably some ways in some of these bigger events too where you could it could be interestingly set up where you could or make sort of a even bring some cards or memorabilia or set up a stand. Even at the World Series, like they have these. I actually Blesnick, Jared Blesnick, we as well in poker and has done a very good job with cards, and he does incorporate that with poker, and he has a stand at the World Series. And
I didn't know that. I didn't know he just stands World Series. Okay.
Yeah, just saying like it's there's something that I think it could be if you look at it from a perspective of marketing. And again, it's such the poker and cards are so much of the same. Poker with the gambling and the breaking of packs, and
it's just a consignor to Goldin as an example. Just to give you an example. I mean, so Sean's the consignor. Blauert, I know. I don't know exactly how old he is, but I really think I must have been playing online against Jared when he was like 15 years old.
That's when I started right then too. Like I'm 37 right now. I was playing like 2003, 4. That's when it all kind of got going. So it's the same time. Yep.
So I first of all, I definitely plan on playing again. So that's number one. There was actually another, I won't mention the name, another company that wanted to put me into a $25,000 buy-in event, have me do some PR and social media for them, and do like a live break as a side of the event, and then nothing ever. I told them I need like 3 months advance notice to get this arranged for my schedule. Nothing happened. But no, look, I would love to at this point in my life. As long as something does not, the one thing I do not miss is my son's Paul. He's 10. He is, I'm sure everybody says this about their kids, but he is like a top 1%er in terms of baseball, measured by, like hit tracks and pitch speed and all that. So he's like really, really, really good. So I just will not let myself miss one of his tournaments. Yep. As long as that's not the case, I will, would definitely talk to you after this. You come up with
listen, it's 6 weeks. The main event is a grind, right? That's like a week long around 4th of July. It's like a 7-8 day thing, but there's a lot of 1-2 day events. Like you mentioned, some sort of like 25Ks or 10Ks that are a little faster, a couple day tournaments that, it's fun, and Vegas is great. And we'll talk about that, but it's awesome that you actually have such a background in poker and understand it. I think there are a lot of similarities again, poker's sort of a metaphor in life. I feel like you can really apply a lot of skills to that. And especially with this, I do see so many similarities in the industry to poker. But Jason Kuntz, I want to mention him. When I go to his office, when I actually, he has his one spot, but then his actual new building, he's got this, they do the 24/7 streaming now, right? They do all this, live breaks. I forget, it's called Whatnot maybe, or one of these apps.
Yeah, he's probably on Whatnot.
That one, yeah. And so, but like it's whenever I go there, I have a problem because it is like it's like heaven, like a candy store. I go there, it's like, see this card, he's got all this stuff, and it's like, oh, what's this? How much is that? And I see it's like, do you have how do you decide what to get? Because it's like I know you have an eye for value, but when you go to the National and whatnot, there's just all these things, and you could buy whatever, right? It's like, how do you actually like focus in on items that you want to, and where do you separate between trying to make money, or just, are you pure collection at this point? Do you just buy for love, or do you flip?
Sure. So, with Goldin, obviously I'm trying, if something is a purchase for profit opportunity, I'll try and get the person to consign it for Goldin. Because that's my job, it's my company. On a personal level, my issue is as you get more money, you like more things, and my horizons have expanded. It used to be, like literally just like vintage cards, or then it was game used. So right now, the things I'm collecting probably in order are key vintage cards and sets, key game used memorabilia from athletes that I want to collect. Mostly players I consider goats of their sports, as well as 500 Run Club. High grade Grail comic books. I would say modern cards of certain players that I think there's spots for, or my son really likes. Like, we probably have the largest Alec Boehm collection in the world. That's his favorite player in the Phillies. And a lot of Bryce Harper too. I would say cool stuff that I just want to display, and like wax box, especially wax boxes that were produced when I was growing up. They're a bit different. Like, if I want to open up a 1980 basketball, I've got like here. I got 3 of these sitting on the shelf. This is the Bird Magic, the Bird Magic rookie card year.
Yep.
So, but the great thing about boxes like that is there's no short prints. You open the 86 Fleer box, you're going to get, unless your box really, you're going to get worst case 2 Jordan rookies and 2 Jordan stickers. You should get 3 of each. You might get 4 of one and 3 of the other. So it's not like where you're going to open up a $20,000 box and might get $300 worth of cards.
Yeah.
So, I'm actually trying to compile. One day I will, every unopened box when I was a kid until really I started Scoreboard in '86, of anything I might have ever opened, and even the stuff I didn't open that was issued during that time.
Yep. And how do you decide about a box? It feels just so much like a bottle of nice wine, right? If you have some old stuff, it's fun. Like, I even found myself during COVID, I was collecting some boxes, and you kind of feel like, okay, it's cool, and the price goes down when you open it up. But it like, do you have like a special time or birthdays, or if you're with certain people and you crack boxes? How do you decide to like crack an old box?
I do. Most of my box breaks will do one of 3 ways. Either one is like a planned break, like maybe a planned break with a celebrity, or a planned break at the office for social media. That really, I'll say that doesn't count. Okay. Most of my box breaks are, with Paul, my son, and we'll let him pick, provided it's a price range. I mean, yes, we have opened up a 96 Topps Chrome basketball box together. That was probably like the most valuable box we opened up together. But really, when he's got time, sometimes when he's got friends over, when his baseball team was in the state championship, I had, and all this stuff is like stored on my Instagram. Like, people like started following me in COVID because I created my account, I think, during COVID, and then we went live for like 80 days in a row, because he was going crazy when there was no school, whatever. So like I said, listen, you do schoolwork, at the end of your schoolwork, we will open up a box. So we opened up a box every single day. And you see my son 3.5 years ago, and he is like whipping off these players and he's talking these names and just going crazy on the stuff. It's just pure joy in a kid hitting a good card, not caring, what the condition is, not caring, unfortunately, if he's 7, if he dings the corner, like the autographs, right? So he just like getting big hits, like getting player he knows. But the other time is like, honestly, sometimes my wife is asleep upstairs. It's a Friday night, and these are the breaks that people love, because these are when I get crazy, and these are when I just like literally say, okay, if I would open this, and I do trivia questions. So I'll tell people, like, I'll open up a box of, let's say, 2003 Topps Chrome, which was better 2 years ago than it is now, but still a great box with LeBron rookies. And I'll say, okay, the person who can tell me the starting lineup of my team, which was the 82-83 Philadelphia 76ers, the first person who gives me the 5-player starting lineup, this next pack is for them. And you'll see all these things streaming. I'll say, okay, fine. Who was my favorite player growing up? Which people who follow me would know. And the first person who guesses that, and I just like write it down, and whatever's in that pack, I ship to them. Oftentimes I'll have a red cup with some drink in it, and we'll just like do it for 2 hours.
It's awesome. And tell me about the National. How special is that, and how has that grown over the years?
Oh my God, it's crazy. The National, God, it's the first National I went to, I'm gonna think was whenever it was in the East Coast between 79 and 81. I don't remember exactly which one it was. If you somebody a list, I'd be able to figure it out. But it was for 10 years, like literally until 1989, it was the same dealers with the same inventory, aging and aging and aging. And then finally, Mike Burkus and convinced these companies to do, when it was in Anaheim, these promos. And that's what really set the National up, is like, oh my God, these Upper Deck promos are selling on eBay for $500, and people were going crazy.
Yeah.
And that made it real exciting. And then for me, my favorite personal National was probably 1992, because I signed Shaquille O'Neal to exclusive, and they did not have the rules back then where somebody can't sign in the booth, and the only people who can do autographs have to be at the autograph pavilion. So I just decided I'm just going to literally fuck up the entire show and put Shaq O'Neal in my booth, in the classic booth at the National. Nobody knew. So I brought, all of a sudden, I'm walking in with 2 security guards and, Shaquille O'Neal, and he's just sitting there signing autograph cards and basketballs at the Goldin booth. And like, there is, on that quarter of the show, there was just no business being done, because it was if you think you've seen lines at like Topps for like their redemptions and Panini for their redemptions, imagine 1992, Shaquille O'Neal is in a card manufacturer's booth signing his rookie card and signing other things for free, not part of a contest, not part of a redemption, no deli line, just man the booth. It was it was absolute pandemonium.
It's amazing how it's come. It's come a long way, and people look forward to it. It's a special time. Have you got any standout finds there? Is there stuff that you just like? Give me like whether it's at the National or somewhere else. What's like your big hit? Like in poker, you have a massive score in a tournament. You never know what's going to come. Could be at like a small event or a big event. Have you hit one thing, or some garage sale, or someplace you've been where you just got like a lottery spot?
Well, I mean, I could tell you crazy stories. When I was a younger kid, I used to go out and I would put in the Courier Post and the Philadelphia Inquirer. And this is when it was safer, when somebody wouldn't come in with a gun. So I'd rent a room at the old Holiday Inn next to the Philadelphia Airport and say, Saturday only, bring your cards for cash at the Philadelphia Holiday Inn. And people this is before the internet, this is before cell phones, this is before online price guides. I don't even think the Beckett, there may have been like the Sport Americana price guide in 1979, but nothing else. So I had this one, I crazy stuff, but I had this one guy come in, and either his dad or his granddad must have been the biggest user of polar bear tobacco in the history of mankind. Okay. So he came in with about 1,300 T206 cards, all polar bear. Okay. So
That's not the Honus
with the
Wagner
black
stuff,
back,
is it?
huh?
Honus Wagner's? Is this
No,
you're
no,
talking
it's
about?
not Wagner. It's not
Okay.
Wagner. But Paul, let me just see if I have any polar bear backs here. 1 second. No, these are all Piedmonts. Let me just see if I got any polar bears here, just so I can show you. It's not a rare back, but it's called an uncommon back. And it was like, okay, so no, it was like pure black. So he had like 17 Ty Cobbs with a polar bear back, and there are these rare cards. These two particular rarities. They're right under. You've got the Wagner, you've got the Plank, you've got the Magyar, and then you've got Demet and O'Hare with the traded team, and those cards can only be found in polar bear. Okay. So he had multiples of each of those. I gave him $1 a card. $1 a card. I just said, you need like 1,200 cards. How about $1,200? Okay. And he probably walked away, thought he was ripping off this little kid. I was probably 14. Okay, I was probably 14 years old. There were no price guys. I just threw it up. But the other thing that was crazy.
Well, and so what? Give me an idea what that was kind of. I mean, you just said.
Today that might be worth $5 million plus today.
Wow. Holy.
Another crazy one is this is when I was 16. I got a phone call from, and I remember exactly who it is. The guy's name was Herb Passman from Philly Coin and Silver. He said, I got a call from somebody who bought an apartment in Philadelphia, and they went in the attic, and there's a bunch of baseball cards in the attic. It looked like the guy must have been a distributor for Topps or something like that, or Topps stored shit there.
Yep.
So we went up to the attic. He went up to the attic. And what it was is cases upon cases upon cases of unopened 1951 Topps red back and blue backs. So like every single sealed box that you've ever seen all originated from that find. So that was like that was the crate. But yeah, no, there's
that's like a shipwreck, right? I mean, that's like finding this stuff, some of the stuff that gets because there's stuff everywhere, right? In the US, and there's got to be just so many buried, like grandparents or great grandparents or people that have cards that are, you know, that what percent of stuff do you think of valuable cards, like real stuff that's like untouched or tapped at this point? Like, like look at Bitcoin, they say 15-20% is lost. Like, what do you think in sports cards?
I think first difference is that there is a lot lost. There is a lot that are gone forever, from the moms throwing it out, from the kids who put the bicycle cards and put the baseball cards in the spokes of the bicycle and make motorcycle noises, to all that type of stuff. So there is a lot that is lost. There's also been so much publicity. I personally think that less than true finds that nobody knows about, less than 5%. However, if you look at the market cap of the business today of every trading card created, and then you figure what is 5% of that, that's a big number, right? It's a potential big number. So I think as the baby boomers age, you're going to continue to find a lot of people with, we had one recently at Goldin. Somebody passed and the family contacted us. They knew one of our consignment directors, and I had a video I did to National, and I said, Cy Young, Cy Young, Cy Young, Cy Young, Cy Young, Cy Young, Cy Young. It was like 16 T206 Cy Youngs in a row. So these finds are out there right now. I think they're more in the hands of collectors who never got anything graded, kept the collection to themselves, locked them away, and their kids or grandkids will find them or know about it one day. And it'll be all these raw cards that we did not know exist before. I do not personally think that there is an uncovered Wagner, though. That I don't believe. I think there are Wagners that exist that are in private collections, but I don't want to say anybody. They're unknown because I know of several raw ones that are in private collections, but you can't call them unknown because I know who has them.
Right.
So I don't think somebody's going to find a new one that's undocumented.
And what is the state of the market right now? Because I got, I had some stuff, not the right year, right? And like I was collecting early 90s, and I remember that's why I got connected with Kuntz through a mutual friend, and I'm from Michigan. He was from Michigan. Went back, took my stuff. Basically, he said $1 a card. I took him all my best stuff that was in cases, and he meant $1 a card, not $100 a card. Unfortunately, I didn't have much, right? And then then I got into it. I bought some Jordan 9s and got kind of like at the, still at the right time, but maybe it was like 2018 or something.
2018 is fine.
I got into it. But then COVID, stuff went crazy. It seemed like just stuff really escalated, and just like anything, crypto, there's waves, right? It goes up, it's down, it's all over the stock market. So where is today? Give me like what you believe the current state of the market is, and what's your prediction over the next 5 years?
So here's my viewpoint. I think that the market was, I knew from looking at my auction results on January 30th, 2021, that the world was crazy when I sold 2 PSA 10 Michael Jordan cards for $720,000 each, and the record high was set 2 weeks earlier, about $175,000.
What are those today, to put in perspective? Like today,
so I'm going to put that in perspective. So that card peaked at 720, and it went consistently and slowly down for almost 3 years to a low of about 125,000.
Okay.
And then I've noticed a strong interest in the card, to the point where right now, depending on the quality of the PSA 10, I'd say the low is 175 and the high is probably 2.25. It might hit 250.
And what about a 9? What about a Jordan 9 today? What is that?
Oh God, Jordan 9. I honestly have to look it up. Maybe 16, I'm gonna guess, off the top of my head. I'm gonna totally off the top of my head.
Just asking. Kuntz is I was willing to deal in some. Curious what kind of price he gives one of his boys. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. The best thing for that is, honestly, if you look at the Card Ladder app, they'll give you and you can see the pictures of the cards. That's what if I need to look something up, that's what I use. I
use vintage card prices. Is that good too?
VCP is good. But VCP is nothing with modern, and Card Ladder now, because they're owned by PSA, has all the data. So they've every single PSA graded card sale that ever took place, most of the SGCs, things like that. But they're still building to their data. It
does seem like there's a technology opportunity, of course, just like AI and anything right now. It feels like cards, if you can streamline the quicker pricing. Say I had Beckett's as a kid as well. That was the way. Now things are getting obviously more streamlined. It does seem like there's a huge opportunity database wise to make things like quicker and better. Do you see some big technological opportunities or things that are happening that you're aware of right now within the space? And
I see that there's a big push. I mean, there's definitely a big push. I mean, there's an introduction, for companies like communities like Mantle with Alexis Ohanian, and my executive producer Brett Montgomery just came out, and they're going to try and bring collectors together and give better information and build a community. But here's where I have my viewpoint in the card market. Anything you bought in 2021, you're dead. Okay, it just was way too high. It was frothy. Almost the same in 2022, with pockets of things that can go back to the 2022 level. 2023 is really hit or miss, because 2023 was really, to me, finding a bottom. And right now, my personal viewpoint is I never want to be one to call a bottom, but I will say that key iconic cards, I know have bottomed. Okay, like 86 Jordan. I think you go to vintage, like a 51 and 52 Bowman and Topps Mantle, cards like that, I think have bottomed. I think that football, hockey, baseball, and soccer, if they did not bottom yet, and I'm talking modern now, if they did not bottom yet, they are incredibly close, with a lot of players that are back on the way up. Basketball, I think there are some players and some sets that still have not bottomed. And others, like, for example, I think the two guys I like that are modern guys, if you had to buy a modern card, who would you buy? I would say right now my two guys would be Tom Brady and LeBron James. Brady has done nothing but gone down since he retired. And I think a lot of his key cards are at prices where they haven't been since 2019. They're very attractive. And I think LeBron is very underappreciated because a lot of people just hate him. Look, the hobby in general, I've never taken a poll, and I don't discuss politics, and I don't discuss my political affiliation on anything, because you never want to offend anybody. I think the hobby in general, if you took a poll, the hobby literally might be 80% Republican. Okay. So with that in mind, a lot of people don't like LeBron because he's outspoken about his liberal views.
Right.
And that has hurt his card price
That's
dramatically.
interesting. It's a very interesting stat on 80. That's a high number, and that's a great point. That's very interesting. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're polarizing, right? He's polarizing.
Yes, exactly. So I think that. I also think that as far as opportunities, I'm really encouraged to see things like Star Wars going up, entertainment cards going up in general, wrestling and UFC. If you look at the card ladder thing, they hit there. They're going up past 6 months. Properties like that are going up. Basketball, out of everything, is the scariest. Baseball to me is the safest because it went down. It went up the least in terms of the modern, and this is all modern. So my preference personally is to buy, preference personally is I'm more of a vintage collector. So to try and find nice vintage cards, and I've been using the softness to pick up sets. I now own two T206 sets, both missing a Wagner. I own a 51 Bowman complete set, 52 Bowman complete set, so on and so forth. And if I'm looking at the modern guys, the guys I like are the people who will live forever. It gets mundane, but it's Brady, it's Jordan, it's Kobe, and it is going to be LeBron. 5 years from now, LeBron's, people are only going to be looking at his stats. It's all they're going to be looking at is what are his career numbers. I think that is going to overcome some of the negativity that people have, fairly or unfairly, that he cries, that he's a flopper.
At the same time, though, because he's so polarizing, I just think that, to your points, like I would think he's also done so much like community. He does a lot of great things that people love. So like to the 80-20, I think the people that really do love him, exactly, his best cards, his pristine stuff, like people are going to want, and it'll be exactly, maybe it is that it just can shoot up, and there's a lot of upside on with him. He's a great businessman as well.
And this is my advice. This is the negative about the card market. Nobody talks about this. I know you will understand this. If you buy and sell stocks, when the stock market is down, it's a bear market. You know what never happens in a bear market?
To buy more, you're saying this is a good time to buy.
What never happens in the bear market, you don't see IPOs, right?
Right. Yeah, true.
You don't see new product entering the market. So the stock market regulates itself because the companies that want to go public do not go public in a bad market typically. And the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs will not bring one of these companies public knowing it's going to be a bad market. The problem is Panini and Topps, irrespective if it's a good market or bad market, have this licensing guarantee and have this overhead, so that even though it may be a bad market, they have to keep pumping out the product into a bear market. Okay. And that's why, and that's why that's the problem with modern, is people are always going to need to sell something. If you're a modern collector, unless you're Nat Turner, who is one of the board directors and CEO of my parent company Collectors, and sold Flatiron for $2 billion. Unless you're a collector like him, you're going to sell something to buy this new Wemby card.
Does he have the big? Is he the one with the Wagner? Who's got the Arizona Cardinal or Arizona?
Ken Kendrick. Ken Kendrick has the best Wagner.
What is that worth nowadays?
To me, some people don't like it. To me, it's a $50 million card. It's still a PSA.
Mil.
50 million. And wait.
I remember hearing it was like 15 or 18 or something.
And I offered, to give an example, somebody $28 million for their 52 Topps PSA 10, and they turned me down. So that card's got to be, that card has to be 30, and I can still sell it at that tomorrow. But
wow.
So it has this cycle. It has this cycle. Here's the tip for everybody. And this is if Michael Rubin, David, Mike, Mahan, not in the Rubin, and if they take my advice.
Fanatics, you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. The day that Panini stops making football and basketball cards, whether it's because they're acquired by Fanatics or the license expires, whenever that day is, Fanatics should make sure they intentionally short print product for 6 months to a year, because you want to know from Ken Goldin. This is from me.
Yep.
Because this is what I experienced from the day I started Goldin until January 2021. From the day I started Goldin until January 2021, every time a new product came out, A month after it came out, it was higher than it was. 6 months after it came out, it was higher than the issue price. And every single day, people went into Target and Walmart and it was sold out. So when they can get back to that, and they can't do it with Panini because Panini knows that they're on a ticking time clock and their licenses are going to expire. So naturally, they're going to want to make as much product as possible. But Ruben, Mahan, David Liner, all you guys, this is the key. Jeff Gordon, not to leave you out. When you have everything, intentionally underproduce, intentionally cut allocations, intentionally cut whatever. Tell the public market that you're going to make less on sports cards this year. Do it. Because the day, to me, my signal to jump in with both feet back in the market is when you start seeing cards in Target and Walmart hit the shelves and they're all sold out by the weekend, when somebody can buy something from Blowout or David Adams and a month later they can look at Blowout and David Adams and that same box is selling for more than it sold a month ago. That is when you know we're fully back and it's fully safe.
Makes a ton of sense. And you mentioned some powerful names there in the industry, and Michael Rubin seems like a genius with what's going on in Fanatics. Give me your Mount Rushmore, and I can probably have a lot of guys, but give me some names that are just really doing special stuff for the industry right now.
Oh man, for the industry right now, boy,
innovators. Who's like really doing their best and loves it and is pushing in the needle.
First, I love Rob Veras of Burbank's Cards. I mean, he always is doing, he is always doing great stuff. They're just doing with the shop. I'm going to say some names people love. I'm going to say some names people hate. Whoever is the CMO of Topps is doing a great job with what they have. I love the Kevin Hart little gimmick on the 2024 Topps cards. Some people hated the Brady. I thought the Brady was the best marketing campaign. Brady Plays Baseball was the best and most brilliant baseball marketing campaign, that I'd seen, because you got major media, you got major cards. Look, so what if some people don't want to buy those cards because Brady never played baseball? They don't think it's going to be valuable. They got everybody talking about a product where most people open up and do not know the names. Okay, yeah. Because most people open up the draft product and they do not know the names. So I really like what they're doing. I think I'm going to throw Blez on here. All the Blez breakers, Jared and his brothers. I think that they do a great job on marketing. I think they do a great job on social media. They were the first company to go into PSA and say, we're going to break live from PSA's headquarters for the next 3 days. And whenever we get a hit, PSA is going to grade it and give it back to us. I think, honestly, what Nat Turner and Ryan Hogue are doing at PSA with, the new technology, upgrading the registry, upgrading the reveal, creating a reveal on an app where you can actually open it up instead of waiting to get, you can like have a reveal image and share it with friends. All that stuff is really, really, really cool. I do look, whether it's going to be profitable or not, whether it is going to be the biggest money-making machine or not, I like what Jeff Wilson did with Cards HQ, trying to make it very family friendly, trying to make it a large, safe environment where kids can hang out, where they can break. Look, I don't know if it's going to make money, how it's going to make money, the whole bit, but I love the concept. I also, from somebody who used to sell person to person at a card show and person to many people on QVC and HSN, I love all these live concepts. I love, eBay Live, getting into eBay Live and competing with Whatnot and Fanatics Live. I love the concept of being able to have direct interaction and answer questions and talk to people and things like that. So I think all of those are really great innovations. I love the MLB debut patch as an individual concept. That is my favorite new concept in 10 years. Creating a one-of-one card and Major League Baseball going along with it and putting the patch that they're going to wear their first ever game. So those are the things I love. People are fighting against general market conditions. There still is a overhang of some people who got too much into debt. There still is an overhang of people who want to sell inventory. But I can tell you right now, and as we're doing this in February 2024, I feel a hell of a lot more confident about the next 2 years than I did in February 2022.
And I got to ask this because this is something that concerns me, and it's a bit of a, I don't want to say dark, but one of the not as fun topics, but a big concern. And this happens with poker as well. Just like I said, a lot of similarities. Poker right now, there's RTA, there's bots, there's things with the card industry. My stuff's all graded PSA. Jason also now has ISA. There's there's a few other, there's major graders. What is your thought on the security right now within cards? Because like now with AI, I mean, you could talk about this for anything, not just cards, right? Like deep fakes and fake videos go viral, and you put out someone it's not someone, and like you can cause big problems. What about like the grading cases, and how is there something in place to make it more secure? Because I'm worried a lot about fakes, and just not only that people can make good fakes, but like actually compromising, not just make good ones, but where you wouldn't even know if you could put in a fake card and get graded a 9 Jordan and whatever, like, how do you know? Like you go to a show, how can you really know?
I mean, look, that is a problem. I think that, if you look at, let's say, a PSA holder from 10 years ago, if someone has that holder, it's a lot more likely that could have been at one point in time compromised and duped than the new stuff. I mean, the new stuff's terrific. I mean, you're not going to screw with it. They have a security team, direct link to the FBI. Anybody even trying to go to it, you got the cert verification. You've got everything else. You've got tons of things that they're doing now. They have the artificial intelligence company that they purchased. That God, I should know this. Gem, whatever the hell it is. Sorry, Kevin, I forgot the name of your old company.
Let me interrupt you. So are you like, this is sort of my point. Is there like a before and after? So now you're saying like, if you send a card and get graded PSA today, they give you a case, or there's a way, maybe like a code, a tracker. It's like more official, but is it almost like, handing in your old $100 bills? Like, is there like a movement or somewhere where you could go and bring it, get verified and redo it? Because I feel like you could get left behind or get in some trouble then if you have a big collection and it's older, and then all of a sudden it could be deemed not as worth or high risk or not worth. That's my fear.
That's a great point, because when we get big ticket cards, really, really big ticket cards, in an old holder, the first thing we do is we're going to send in the PSA. We tell the client, okay, we are going to have your card reholdered, because PSA will look at it. And first of all, if they open up an old holder and they find something wrong with the card, okay, if they find something wrong with the card, let's say something slipped 10 years ago, doesn't slip then, there's something wrong with the card where that card would not get, would not get that grade or not be authentic today, and they know that is like the original purchaser and wasn't tampered with, they've got that PSA guarantee, and it's basically like insurance. So for us at Goldin, when we get any of these big cards that are in old holders, we want to get them in a new holder, because we want everybody to buy and know, hey, you're not going to have a problem with this down the road. I think, to me, in terms of ranking, I think I would put in terms of security, in terms of, you got to remember, PSA grades 10 times more cards than anybody else. So if you see these PSA problems, like people talk, oh, this happened, you got to realize you're going to see more little pockets,
right,
than more little pockets than other companies, because there's just so much more of a supply out there. I would put SGC second, and Beckett's have just had a ton of problems with their holders. They used something previously that, one of their plastics wasn't good for the cards. Some of the older holders, they get loose and they decay. It's just a lot of people buying Beckett cards. Right. They have to know this. And oh, by the way, you are going to have to edit this, not what I just said, but probably edit for time, because we'll go long, because I am going to talk about this stuff. We are going to show stuff, and you can figure out what puts your best podcast together.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Hey, listen, I love it. Honestly, for me, it's fascinating. I like I said, I'm immersed in it. I love it. I actually, that's sort of like what you're saying makes sense too, but forget about forget about the $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 cards. I'm talking like, $500, $200 cards. Like it's like making a fake 20 or a 10, right? There's counterfeit, people get caught, they do stuff. You make the hundreds, now you can't really do it. But what about $10 bills? Like you could do pretty well, making $50 and $80 fake cards all day long. Like that, this is where my concern is a little bit.
And there have been rings in Mexico. There have been people in Mexico who made fake BGS holders. There have been rings in Mexico that have been made fake PSA holders. The big warning sign is if you go to put in a certificate on PSAcards.com and you type in that cert number and it says card on hold, what that means is that typically they are aware that somebody duplicated that serial number and there may be one or more counterfeit holders that exist out there.
Okay.
So like that, if you're at a show, listen, if you are a serious card collector and you buy PSA cards and you do not walk around a show or anywhere you are with the PSA app so you can check a certification or check something else, then you're doing yourself a disservice. They're giving you the technology,
right?
Absolutely use it.
What's that website again?
Isn't it PSAcard.com?
Okay. No, I'm saying, but there's a way you can actually type in the number and check it.
Yeah.
I've never done. I'm not aware. Okay.
Go to App Store, and while you're there, get the Goldin app. But get the PSA app, and this way you can. I
didn't know you had an app. You do have a Goldin app. I should know that. You have one.
We do have a Goldin app. Yes.
Look, I'm not here to. I want to. I know you're one of the pillars of the industry. That's why it's very interesting to me. I know it's not like a fun topic because it can make people scared or whatever, but it definitely is something I think is going to be. It's good to have good information and understand what's happening because it is a little bit. This is anything though, right? Poker. This, that, like people, there's anytime there's money, there's fraud and shit.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I was an active player at the time that some extremely well-known high-value poker players had their multi-accounting scandal.
I mean, right? You name it though. That's the thing. There's this, there's cheat, there's art, there's like a ton of ways. People, anytime there's money, people are gonna find, if you want to be dubious, you can find ways to be unethical and there's bad actors. So okay, I don't want to spend too much time on that. It's good to know that's important, and it's for sure. As again, like I think there's that would be a really good service if somehow you could bring, you go to a card show or certain places and you have the opportunity to sort of recase or get a newer up to date thing. Let
me give an example. So I'm going to mention three things that should give you confidence in the industry. So number one, PSA, has they literally, like, if you send a numbered card and you send that same numbered card back to be regraded, they know that they've already looked at that card and they've got like a before and after, so they can compare. So the PSA has the past 3 years has done unbelievable steps, and they have the entire dedicated force to this. eBay, now has the authenticity guarantee for graded cards, and like they'll literally send you buy a card over a certain value on eBay, they'll literally send that card in the case to PSA to make sure that this was not a tampered PSA case and this is not counterfeit. So that's great for them. And again, even nobody can say I don't give credit to competitors, but like Fanatics, Fanatics hired the guy from the FBI that was in charge of all of the art and sports collectible fraud. Brian Brusakis is now head of security for Fanatics. So you say
competitor in what sense? In terms of
because they made the mistake of buying PWCC. That's why. Okay. Which I wish they didn't did. They probably wish they didn't do, but they did. So, but they So if you look at the three biggest companies, PSA, and three biggest and the three most important companies, PSA, eBay, and Fanatics, are all understand the importance of keeping this
integrity
safe and keeping that product from being counterfeit and keeping their customers from being ripped off.
And what is the wait time right now? I know during COVID it got crazy. What if you send in PSA? There's the Express or whatever. What's like
a lot of people are using regular and getting their cards back in under 30 days for regular service.
Great.
Yeah, because now they've got the whole New Jersey facility, so you got all modern stuff can be done out of New Jersey, so they can crank it out. It's not, people are not complaining about wait times anymore.
And what is the minimum amount you expect your card to send in? Because it's not cheap to grade anymore. If you want to send a card to get graded, what is like the cost of that, and how much do you what would make sense to even have it go? If you have like a 9, I don't know the metrics on it, because like
look, if you have a $50 raw card that you can send in through Slowboat Modern Service, it's worth it to get it done.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense. And do you think most people in the trading card industry, and memorabilia, are they in it to make money, or is it more about, you know, is it for fun or to make money? What's the percentages on that?
My personal opinion is, if it's almost more based on age, I would say the 40 and over crowd, a much higher percentage are in it because they've done it for a long time. They collect and they love it. And I would say the teenage crowd, the young 20s, I don't think anybody would consider themselves a pure collector. I think that they would consider themselves collectors and dealers. They buy for their personal collection and they flip to make money to fund their personal collection. So I think every one of them, you know, I honestly, I know very few people who are in this industry that buy and sell and do not have a collection. They all want to collect something. They're all doing it to support some sort of collection habit.
And what you've mentioned your son, and what age do you believe is like the right age, or it varies, of course, for various factors, but you know, with your son, you want to crack open some packs of cards or break box. What age do they actually can like kind of appreciate, or it's like a learning and fun thing? What would you be your recommendation default?
I mean, hell, my daughter's 6 and she wants to open up her Pokemon and Frozen and the Disney cards and things like that. You know, they're not going to necessarily, you got to get cheap boxes for a 6-year-old. But look, right now these kids are smart. My son is, you know, on Fortnite with a headset, talking to 20 other people at a time, you know, planning attacks in the video game room. And he is like, he's on, you know, he's on apps and he's on this and he's on
How
that.
old is he?
You know, he's 10. He's 10.
Okay. Yeah, the CEOs, they'll be CEOs at 14 pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that, you know, kids who honestly probably when they enter 4th grade, they're able to walk a card show, look at it, look up prices. They all look up prices. I love these kids. And these kids, it's just like friggin', it did not exist. When I was doing this, I was the only teenager doing this. Okay, it was all old men and me. So it is like crazy. When I go to the National, I see like 2,000 or 5,000 kids on the floor of the National. I go to my hotel and there's like a tunnel of 1,000 kids sitting there with their phones open, you know, buying, selling, and trading.
It does feel, I mean, the content now with your show on Netflix, of course, but there's so many other, like Jared or, you know, whatnot, these apps and the breaking and the pull wax. There's all these different things. That's got to be massive. That has to be a huge, like, how big is the growth, would you say, in the last, you know, 5 years and 10 years? Like, how is it really just going like this, or do you see it maybe slowing down?
I look, I know Fanatics says they want to 10x the hobby. I think we've seen a 10x from the hobby. If you look,
what is the market cap roughly?
It is so many different things. I've heard 5 billion. I've heard 30 billion. So it depends what you're encompassing and whether it's resale and things like that. I mean, everybody has their own.
You're bullish though. You're bullish.
Yeah,
you're bullish.
I am bullish about the future of the overall industry, and I emphasize the overall industry. Doesn't necessarily mean that if he wins 2 MVPs, that your Luka card from 2021 is going to go up.
There's just too much, right? There's too much.
So it depends what card it is, and it just may have gotten too high. But I'm bullish about the overall industry, and I am bullish about new product coming out. I'm bullish about vintage cards. I'm bullish about gold collecting. You know, the stuff that's always scared me is people overpaying for unproven talent who could get injured or commit a crime or not pan out, and then, you know, they literally lose 90%. No one's gonna lose 90% on it. You go out today, you buy something Kobe Bryant, you're not gonna lose 90%.
Right. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. What about soccer in the U.S.? It's becoming so popular, and I see, you know, I tell you that I played through college. It's what I love, and you know, obviously the big names and the Maradona and the Pele, Messi and Ronaldo's, but also, do you feel the world, is this something with your, like, because how dominant is the U.S. in the sports card market versus the expansion with Europe and China? I remember coming at the national, or I think it was national. And these 2 kids from China came to Jason Kuntz. They bought every Jordan he had. They, you know, the $1 ones and Bach. They bought like the whole thing out. And like I saw, it seems getting more international. Is that where the upside is, that it can really hasn't grown there?
It is. Soccer is obviously the most international sport, and F1 second. And the point is, you have to educate those people, and you have to wait for them to want to shift into cards. Right now, the best-selling international market is basketball because of Asia. Okay, whether it's China, whether it's Japan, whether it's the Philippines, all that. They're so basketball heavy, and like they don't buy football. They'll buy some baseball. They really don't buy soccer that much. So what has to happen is, Australia is probably more like the US than any other country, because they will buy football, they will buy basketball, they will buy soccer, they will buy baseball. They love everything. I know that because they keep hitting me up, season 3, or they don't know if I filmed season 2, but so I just say season 3, I'll go to Australia. Season 3, I'll go to Australia. I've got a lot of places I've promised people to go in season 3. We'll see.
How many episodes is season 2? 6 was season 1? Or
All I'm allowed to say is it's more than season 1.
Okay.
I'm allowed to say it's more than season 1. I'm allowed to say, I can tell you that season 2, from the production quality, I've seen all the episodes. I almost said how many. I've seen all the episodes. The production quality is just night and day. It's kind of like American Idol. When they did the first season, you saw Paula Abdul, and she looked maybe like she just got out of bed, and she went there and was going through it. And then season 2, all of a sudden, she's made up with sponsors and jewelry. They realize, wow, this is a big hit. Well, Netflix realized, wow, this is a big hit.
That's awesome. That's great. That's exciting. Quality,
it's a lot more sports. It's a lot less of the BS. There's no Beanie Babies in season 2. It's real, hardcore collectibles that the people are going to love.
That's awesome. And who is that? What athletes would you say? Because Peyton Manning and Eli, what they've done with this, the commentary and how they're just showing their personality and just have an absolute hit. The Kelsey brothers, number 1 podcast.
Of course.
Who is really actually loves the hobby? Like out of some of these well-known athletes that like are really, they have their own collections and they're really into it. Who would you say some of the guys?
Okay. When you say the hobby, I'm going to expand into sports memorabilia as well as cards. And I'm going to go with as big a name as I possibly can.
Yeah. Let's get a thumbnail here. Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Okay.
Tom Brady for sure. Kevin Durant for sure.
He seems like a really savvy business man from what I've heard. And he seems really in tune to what's going on. Yeah.
Yep. I would say, Barry Bonds.
Okay.
Let me look at big net. Let me see. I know retired player, and I know this only because he's one of my son's coaches. Todd Frazier.
Okay.
Used to play All-Star, Little League World Series MVP. Boy, there's so many.
But you would say it is noticeable that athletes and maybe even some more so retired.
Bobby Witt Jr. and J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez, two big ones. Acuna Jr. So a lot more current guys than retired guys. But a lot of current guys. And a lot of current baseball and basketball players.
Very cool.
Giannis. Oh my God, Giannis. I was selling his dual logo man with somebody about 3 months ago, and all of a sudden I get a DM, and he's somebody I've never met in person, I've never spoke to. I got a DM from Giannis and said, Ken, I would like this card.
That's awesome.
I said, that's great. So here's the link. Set up an account, buddy.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm sure exactly that stuff starts going on. I'm sure that's when it's doing well, right? When when people they start bidding up and they want their own stuff. Yeah, there's some cool stuff going. And what about one of my last questions here? Because I know again we'll hopefully have you on multiple times, and I know you got a crazy day, so really do again appreciate the time. Like the outside like kind of actors or crossover. There are some cards. There's even some poker cards like Phil Hellmuth I've seen, and others. Kevin Hart, you mentioned his name. He's been on the podcast here, and he's also I just was with him a week ago. Bill Perkins' birthday. Funny guy, and seems to love. I know he does have some collectible stuff.
Yeah.
Is there how does that work when it's a well-known or famous someone, but the sports card? Like, is there any of these that really have become valuable, like the cards of athletes or actors? I'm sorry.
Sure. So by the way, I left the biggest name off the list, and of course he was in season 1. That's Drake.
Okay.
I know he just like Jason has. I've sold him a bunch of stuff he displays at his house. So he's definitely one of the biggest. Look, I think that there is definitely a market for pop culture cards. Rock and roll, movie stars, social media. I have to say that when I sell like a Kim Kardashian signed card for $5,000, and you see some of this, see some of these other cards, go out there. But I think, and that's, look, Leaf is very big on that. That's what they do with their, with their pop set, so and Topps does it in a couple of their sets as well. So I definitely think that there is a market, as long as they don't oversaturate it. Like somebody I don't think who's ever had a card and signed cards, for example, I think would be a hit is Logan Paul. I think people would buy his cards.
Right. And my last question is about sticker signings, because this is Michael Phelps, right? Live with him, roommate, one of my best friends in the world. And I know that he's now doing, I've done signings where I've been with him and he's signed all the stuff, and it's a bit tedious, and you got to have the baseballs or the tickets, all that. Now there's these stickers, which is, I've seen them on actual products, and I know he just did some signings for that. What are your thoughts on that? Because when I see a sticker of a signature placed on a card versus the actual signing, give me some pros and cons on that. What's going on with that?
So I'm going to give you my 3 things that I hate most about the current card industry. That I, and some of them you can't do away with them. Number 1 is a game used hit card being pulled, a relic hit card being pulled, and on the back it says the piece of jersey or something on this card was not actually used by the player or in any specific game or event. I hate that. That's number 1. Redemptions are number 2. And let me put that. Expired redemptions are number 1 by far, because you're going to put a box from 5 years ago, get a big hit, and they don't have it. If they can make unexpired redemptions, it'll go lower on my list. And the third is sticker autographs. It is a necessity. It is not going to go away. It's not going to go away.
I had never seen those until just now. I didn't realize that was a thing, but so it must be newer.
So it's not going to go. It allows an athlete to take a page or an entertainer with like 60 stickers. They just sign, boom, 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 and then the companies can work it on. So it's never going to go away. The way they should handle that is that sticker cards should be reserved for lower end base product, retail product, and kept completely out of, if you got something that people are paying $500 or $1,000 a box at issue price, I just don't think there should be stickers in there.
Makes a ton of sense. Well, listen, I literally have, we could talk for 10 hours.
We'll do it again. We'll talk more personal.
Yes.
What we can do? Here's what we do. After season 2 hits,
okay,
hit me up, and I'll get you some clips, and we can do this again.
I love it. Well, listen, I really am. I'm a fan. I love what you've done. I love that you've built this business to what it is, and congrats on the success of the show. And that's exciting to hear. There's hopefully 30 plus seasons, but we know at least 2, and you said maybe 3. I think you confirmed, but not anything more than that. We know there's stuff coming, and again, you guys can watch it on Netflix. And Ken Goldin, we appreciate the time.
And one thing, because of I had to wear a gift from my daughters, my older daughters. If you watch the show, you saw Laura. So Laura and her sister Lindsay. They said I am a trophy dad. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the collection. I love what you got going on, and I know you're doing some really special stuff behind the scenes. And again, some mutual friends that are in the space and speak very highly. So again, thank you. It was great for the time, and I will be seeing you again. We'll definitely have you on in the future. That would be awesome. I'll see you at the National, if not before.
Cool. Sounds great, Jeff. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.